Hello, welcome to Higher Love, Quantum Sex, and the Art of Conscious Coupling. Elevate your relationships, electrify your intimacy, and discover the deeper dimensions of sacred connection. I'm Katherine Woodward Thomas. I am so delighted to be with you for this magical next few weeks we'll be together. And for those of you who don't yet know me, I'm the New York Times bestselling author of Calling in the One, 7 Weeks to Attract the Love of Your Life, and Conscious Uncoupling, 5 Steps to Living Happily Even After. I'm also a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm going to be here with you for the first part of our transformative journey. And then you're going to be joined by my dear friend, Dr. Laura Berman. So I want to begin just by thanking everyone at Humanity's Team. It's been just such a joy to collaborate with you. So grateful to be a part of your community and so grateful to have this opportunity to share my work with everyone. I have taught thousands of classes over the years to people all over the world on how to consciously uncouple in a way that is mindful and kind and respectful. And most of you have heard of that teaching because it was popped into the lexicon by Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin when they announced their divorce back in 2014. And I've also been helping people for many, many years to call in the right person for them and create a sense of magic in manifesting the relationship that's just so right for them. And over the years, I've gotten a lot of letters, a lot of emails from people saying, "Okay, I've called in the one. How do I keep the one now? How do I navigate this terrain? How do I elevate the quality of this connection so that it lasts through the years?" And to not just be with someone in a way where we're kind of forever healing ourselves of old triggers and old wounds, but really getting to a place where uh, a certain kind of unity begins to occur, a certain harmony in living together where we're elevating the possibilities that are present between us, for ourselves, for each other, and anyone who comes into our community, and that which we are calling higher love in this class. And so I'm really delighted to share what I have been working on for the past several years in that to answer those questions. And I want to start by differentiating higher love from healthy love. And healthy love is what, many of us have been really working towards. And it's no small accomplishment to be coming from toxic patterns, to outgrow certain self-defeating ways of showing up in relationship. We really can sustain a healthy relationship over time. It's a great victory to do that. But higher love doesn't happen just because you're healthy. Higher love requires health. So everything we've been doing to learn how to set boundaries, to negotiate for our needs, to share our feelings with other people in a way that is vulnerable and real and true, and to listen on a deeper level. All of those things that create health in relationship is the foundation for this conversation that we're about to embark upon. And so I thank those of you who have been with me before. I thank those of you who are coming in now to be with Laura and I to really lean in together to that which is wanting to wake up between us, these higher dimensions of co-creativity, connection, and care. And I want you to know that I recognize your presence here almost as a form of prayer, as a powerful request of the universe, but also as an assertion that you're ready to learn this, that you're ready to become the vehicle for that which is wanting to emerge through us. And so I'd like to begin, since this is our first class together, with an opening centering, so we can really get grounded in that and join together almost as a declaration to life that we are available to this, we are ready, and it's the deepest yearning of our souls is to grow in this way. So let's have you close your eyes for a moment. And start by taking a nice deep breath as though you could breathe all the way down into your hips. Moving into a place of deep listening and receptivity, as if you could begin to see with your inner eyes and hear with your inner ears. And just becoming aware of all of the feelings and sensations in your body. Noticing where you might be holding any tension. And as you find it, just letting it go. And with each breath, just allowing yourself to soften into an even deeper state of surrender. Knowing that you are safe to let go. That you have been led here by a force and field of life that is up underneath you, that knows every hair on your head and every longing in your heart. And just allowing yourself to imagine that we are in this beautiful temple together, this temple of transformation, this temple of possibility, this temple of all that is emerging in the field between us. You notice that you're not here alone. You have friends from all around the world who are in this temple with you, learning with you, growing with you. And I also want you to notice that you have support in the unseen realms, even imagining angels to the left of you and angels to the right, angels before you, angels behind you, angels above you, angels below. And notice too that all of your benevolent ancestors, both past and future, are here with us. And that you have all of this support to outgrow anything that has been painful in the field between yourself and others, anything that has been burdening you, any places where you have felt limited and stuck. That you have a tremendous amount of support to grow your capacities for authentic connection, for beauty, for depth, for liberation and freedom between yourself and others, and between yourself and your beloved in particular, whether that person is in your life now or on their way to you. And just saying yes to offer yourself as a vehicle for these higher dimensions of love. And let's see if we can just try on what that might feel like to be standing in that future already. Just using your imagination and allowing yourself to stretch, to imagine what it feels like to have this relational field already in your life, this dynamic field of care where you feel honored and nourished and safe. Just notice what it feels like in your body to have the love that you are longing for. Something beautiful is wanting to wake up in your life. And I invite you to just see your presence here as evidence that life is indeed preparing you to receive this great love, the next level of your own growth and development. And so it is with great gratitude that we begin this expansive and liberating journey. We devote and dedicate our time together over the next several weeks to realizing great love, both in our lives and in our world. Thank you so much. Beautiful. You can open your eyes. So let's get right to the heart of the matter, shall we? I know what you don't want any more of. I think I can guess what you don't want any more of in your life. You don't want to be limited by the repetitious patterns that you have been bumping up against for far too long. The evidence of the early relational traumas of your past that we call codependence or love avoidance or love addiction or constant power struggles or low self-esteem or walking on eggshells, right? All of those kind of self-defeating, chronically disappointing dynamics that leave us depleted and empty-handed and heavy-hearted, and which continue really the legacy of suffering that many of us can point to in our families of origin. And I think I can guess also what you do want at this point in your life. And that's where we're going to be focusing today. That you do want to fall really deeply in love with yourself as the foundation for loving another. And you do want to create a very rich and rewarding field of relatedness that serves as a strong foundation for you to live your most meaningful life. You want to be able to cultivate certain skills that will give you the capacity to go all the way in love, to realize the higher potentials and the possibilities that you sense, that you long for and yearn for. And I know that you have likely been moving yourself in this direction for quite some time. I think that you're most likely not a newbie at personal development, that you're actually, all in already. And that you probably at this point know what your issues are. You struggle with low self esteem or attachment issues, the inability to speak up for yourself or set healthy boundaries. Most of us have been doing work for a long time. We kind of understand our issues backwards and forwards, inside out. But they haven't really brought us home yet to having an experience where they're a mere memory of issues we used to have that don't really show up in our lives anymore. And certainly we've been connecting the dots between what happened way back then and what happens now. I know a lot of you are kind of experts at that. And yet, if you are like me, who spent years in the trenches doing this kind of work, thank God, great work to do. But at some point, you get kind of weary of organizing your life around trying to get over the past. And at some point, you begin to wonder, is there an end in sight? When do I get to graduate from this story and actually live fully and love fully with an open, clean heart and just show up and be available to that? So I had a pattern for many, many years of attracting in some kind of a triangle unavailable people, people who couldn't really ever show up for me when I needed them. Great passion, low commitment. Okay. And I had a thing, of course, for married men because what a great setup for that. I have a lot of sadness about that now. For those of you who are married, I want to apologize. And I feel, a lot of sorrow, not just for myself, but for the people that I hurt along the way. But it was almost like it was happening to me against my will. I did not understand how it was happening through me. So married men, engaged men, alcoholic men, commitment phobic men, any size, shape, or form of unavailable, that's what came into my life. And it wasn't hard to see where that was coming from. I was working on this. I was in therapy for years. I was in 12-step programs, and I love 12-step programs. They're about doing the right thing for the right reasons, I had a lot of moral awakenings in those programs, but I still couldn't break this pattern of who came into my life. So consequently, in trying not to do the pattern, I would spend years alone. And actually, the through line was that no one was ever really there for me, whether I was alone or I was in a relationship. And so, of course, I could go back and I was analyzing that, and I saw that, when I was 5 years old, my father remarried. My parents had gotten divorced when I was young, and my father remarried. And, back then, this is the 60s. People didn't know what they know now about attachment and belonging and the impact that divorce might have on children. So his wife, his new wife, his second wife, was very upset that he'd been married before. So she married him with the understanding that I was to never come into their home. So that set up the triangle. So this is not hard to see, not rocket science. You probably have your own insights, And then, of course, couple this with a mother who didn't really want to be a mother because she was only 18 when she had me. She was not at all ready. It's not hard to understand where these patterns came from in my life of no one ever really showing up for me. So I was, heartbroken time and time again. And I was desperate to get over this pattern. And I was doing all of this work on myself for years to the point where I actually became a therapist without ever really meaning to become a therapist. But it wasn't until I discovered what I want to share with you today that my life radically transformed. And the work you have been doing to heal yourself to date, like all the work I did, is beautiful and important. It's a foundation for what we're talking about today. So helpful. And your story is just as worthy of compassion as mine is. We all have our stories about how we became who we became and how we inherited the patterns that we inherited or formed the patterns in response to what happened. But it's very important for us to understand that getting over your past is not the same as getting on with creating a vibrant future. That healing is the domain of the past, but transformation is the domain of the future. Healing and transformation are not the same thing. Transformation begins when you stand for a future that's unlike anything you've ever had. And you begin to organize your life around who you would need to be in order to both manifest that future and sustain that future. It's really living into that which we call the possible self. And I love that term. It's created by two women doctors, Paula Nereus and Hazel Marcus. I met Hazel Marcus once. She's at Stanford University now. And they discovered the power of the possible future, the possible self of the future, to transform who we are in the present and to begin to manifest that future much more easily so that we could become a co-creator of that future as opposed to just hoping for something to happen, wishing, praying, analyzing the past. You know, most of us have been rummaging around there a really long time inside of some assumption that if we can get to the bottom of it, it's going to unlock our present and future. And I want to tell you that that's a myth, that going back into the past, telling that story, retelling that story, analyzing who did what to you when, where they did it, where it happened, why it happened, all of that information, you know, and it was helpful to make slow and steady progress, but the miracle doesn't come from that. And that's because you cannot create a happy future by focusing on an unhappy past. It's metaphysically impossible. And so in many ways, it's been at some point, once we connected the dots and began to see the meaning that we made out of what happened and how we're still stuck inside that meaning in a way that opens up the possibility of transforming that, that it becomes counterproductive to keep going back there over and over again. And those of us who are students of metaphysics understand that what we focus on grows. And in many ways, the tendency to go back into the past over and over again, while on some level has been very helpful for our healing, on another level, it's been destructive because it served to solidify the self that you formed in response to the traumas that you endured, which is kind of the worst thing that we can do to try and get over it. Okay? So, we want to start to focus on the future and who we are in that future fulfilled, because wherever you are centered at the level of identity is where you will be generating your life from. So you want to begin to feel into the self of your future and begin to bring that into your present and stand there and start to generate life from there, because that's what begins to reorganize your life. That's what begins to graduate you from the old painful patterns. So we want to begin our next several weeks together, our magical journey together, by having you really anchor into and name the future that you're standing for. And then leaning in, learning the practice of leaning in to discover who you will need to be in order to fulfill upon it, so that you're no longer defined by your past, but you begin to be defined by the future. And you're living from that future backwards, so that that future is influencing you to make new choices and take new actions in the direction of your dreams, so that you're preparing yourself for that date with destiny. And so we want to begin this magical journey together by having you begin to really reimagine what's possible for your future and to stretch yourself to set an unreasonable intention to manifest and sustain something that you have likely never even had. So for myself, what actually transformed everything after decades of trying was the very simple act of taking a stand at the age of 41 for a future that I had never been able to manifest. And I did that by setting an intention to be engaged by my 42nd birthday. And I literally spoke it out loud to a group of friends who were holding that with me and for me. And what began to happen inside of speaking that intention is that that future started to pull me into who I would need to be. And it began to make clear the ways that I would need to grow and develop myself in order to become that version of myself. And it began with this practice sitting on my meditation cushion every day of asking the universe, really, what would I need to let go of in order to manifest this future? What would I need to embrace or begin to grow? And what are my next steps? And so the difference between hoping and wishing and praying for something and actually intending it is really about you stepping in as a co-creator of that possible future in partnership with the creative energies of life. So I want to give you an actual experience of this so that you're no longer trying to get away from the patterns of your past, but you're running towards your possible future and inviting you to take a stand for this beautiful, bold future. I want to share with you the 3 keys to intentions that really manifest. And the first one is that you want to create an intention that is future focused. So it's not about what you're getting away from. So it's not something like my intention is to fight less than we've been fighting, right? Because that's an intention that is referenced in the past. You want to reference your intention from the future. My intention is to create a culture of care, respect, and loving kindness between my partner and myself, right? That's about the future, where you're going. The second key is that you always want to speak an intention in the affirmative. For example, my intention is to create a relationship where we both feel heard, honored, supported, and seen, as opposed to my intention is to stop dating narcissists, right? That's in the negative. So you want to speak it in the affirmative. What are you up to creating? So the third thing is you want an intention that is inspiring. It literally begins to compel you into action. The intention is infused with creative energies and you just can't wait to get started. So for example, an uninspired intention might be, my intention is to start dating again. Kind of flat. It makes me want to go eat a box of cookies. Versus my intention is to create a powerfully bonded, resilient, wildly co-creative, happy relationship as the foundation for my joyful, fully expressed life, right? Already there's like, whoa, that's like riding a wave. It's like catching the biggest wave. It propels you forward. So that's what we're looking for, future focused, in the affirmative, and inspiring, okay? So let's do a little practice with you. And what we're going to look at in this practice is giving you a chance to really go through the experience of, number one, really setting an intention for an amazing future that's really at stake for you and how you move through this program that Laura and I put together for you. And we want you to visit that future so you actually imagine it as though it's happening now. So the first thing, what's the future you're standing for? The second thing, feel it in your body as though it's happening now. What does it look like, taste like, feel like, smell like, sound like? And you imagine it's happening now. Number 3, who are you in this future fulfilled? Right? You're just trying on that self of your future. You're feeling where you're centered in your body, how you're holding yourself, how you're breathing, how you feel about yourself. And then you're opening yourself up to partner with the universe by asking these 3 questions. What would I need to give up in order to manifest this future? How will I need to grow myself in order to prepare myself to receive it? And what are my next steps? So let's have you close your eyes and try this for a moment. So just take a deep breath as though you could breathe all the way down into your hips, and becoming aware of all of the feelings and sensations in your body. Noticing where you're holding any tension. As you find it, just letting it go. And let's have you begin with the end in mind. So consider the repetitive patterns that you've been struggling with that actually inspired you to come into this program. Now, it might be that you have triangular drama traumas like I did, but it might be that you're kind of with emotionally unavailable people in different ways, or that you tend to partner with people who are very narcissistic, and then you end up feeling invisible. What's the pain that brought you here? And notice how you've been just working on this for a long time and how you've been doing that. Maybe you've been analyzing your past, either yours or someone else's, trying to sort through all of the gnarly knots and all of the complexities. Notice if you feel kind of resigned at this point, if you've almost wanted to give up. So in this moment, I just invite you to connect with the part of you that is holding hope, the part of you that actually knows that something more is waiting for you, the part of you that led you to be with me today. And just turn all of your attention to this part of yourself, even if it's just 5% of you. And from that place, just becoming aware of the limitless possibilities and potentials of the universe, that there is no fixed future out there, and that you do indeed have the power to manifest a future that is different than anything you've ever experienced before. And let's just imagine all of that support that we felt in the opening meditation surrounding you right now. And seeing this class as answered prayer that was created just for you. And allowing yourself to open to receive the miracle that is on its way to you now. And let's see if we can't catch that possibility and turn it into an intention. An unreasonable intention, a bold and beautiful intention. My intention is, and I just encourage you to have courage in declaring that in your heart. What's the future you are standing for that has been calling to you, that's like on the tip of your tongue, that you can almost taste because you know that's the life you're meant to be living? And just claim that future, even though you have no idea how you could possibly get from where you are to there. Just suspending your disbelief and leaning into the miracle. My intention is, and make it future focused and speak it in the affirmative and make it inspiring. Inspire yourself with it. Beautiful. And now I invite you to try that future on as though you could kind of step through time, collapse time, bring that future into this moment right now. Imagine that a miracle has happened. And imagine that you are right now in this situation. It has all worked out. Life has answered your prayers. You have manifested this miracle. And allow images to come to you now. What does it look like? And it might be laughing with your lover in bed. It might be dancing together. It might be just a simple walk in the park holding hands. What does it look like? And what does it feel like? You might feel the warmth of the sun on your skin as the two of you are out walking on the beach. Maybe you feel this person's hand on the small of your back. What does it feel like? What does it taste like? Just imagining the taste even of something that your beloved cooked for you or baked for you that afternoon. Or maybe the taste of lemonade on your lover's lips. Or the two of you out at a wonderful resort enjoying a beautiful buffet because you have managed to break on through to the other side of abundance together. What does it sound like to just maybe you can imagine your beloved whispering sweet things in your ear? Just what does it sound like when there's happiness in your home together? What does it smell like? See if you can actually smell maybe the scent of the flowers that were brought to you today or the earth as you're out gardening in your home with your partner, growing things. Right? Just get it in your body. And notice who you are inside of this. Just stepping into the possible self of your future. And see if you can actually tap into and feel the emotions that you might feel. Deeply satisfied and safe. Really loved, heard, seen, valued, grateful, peaceful. Noticing what it feels like to trust another person fully because there's so much integrity between yourself and them. Now imagine yourself walking through your day now like this, doing your work, going to the market, visiting a friend, just staying connected to the self of your future, someone who's loved, valued, seen, supported, heard, honored. Beautiful. Now we're going to open ourselves up to the universe, who is your partner in manifesting this miracle, and just ask life for intuitive guidance. What will I need to let go of in order to manifest this future, in order to become who I would need to be to both manifest and sustain that future? And just listen for the answer. And how will I need to grow myself ready to receive this into my life? In what ways will I need to begin to grow, expand? What capacities do I need to cultivate? What skills do I need to learn? And what is my next step? What is my next step? So I might need to give up my punitive self-talk. I might need to give up under-presenting, over-giving as a way to try and prove my value. People-pleasing as a strategy to stay safe. I might need to grow my capacities to speak up for myself, to set boundaries so that I can create safety for myself and others. I might need to start looking people in the eye and grow my courage to state clearly what it is that I need. How will I need to grow? What's my next step? And usually they're very concrete. I need to call my sister and clean that up and tell her the truth. I need to get my finances in order. I need to start meditating. Just listen for your own guidance. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and write it down. And I really want to encourage you to, whatever you heard, particularly as your next step, get into action. Transformation happens to the extent that we are willing to take new actions and make new choices in the direction of our dreams. My dear friend Michael Beckwith once said, "Don't look for your dreams to come true, look to be true to your dreams." And so by engaging this practice, you are learning to source yourself from the future backwards. And you can begin to do this practice each and every day so that you always have a sense that you are moving yourself in the direction of your dreams and you are growing in your ability to define yourself from that future that you're standing to manifest. So that's our class today. Thank you so much. And I look forward to being with you again soon for our next class when we really lean in to the 3 pillars of self-love. Thank you so much. Bye for now.